It was 1940. America was standing on the edge of a world war, but inside its own borders, another battle was already raging, the battle of race and equality. Back then, African Americans were still denied basic rights. They rode in separate train cars, studied in separate schools, and in the US military, their roles were mostly limited to cooking, cleaning, or maintenance. The idea of a black man flying a US Army fighter plane, people laughed at it. Impossible, they said. But somewhere in Alabama, a few young men refused to accept that word. At the Tuskegee Institute, a place built on education and self-belief, a spark was born, a dream that one day, black pilots would fly for their country and prove that courage has no color. In 1941, under growing political pressure, the US government launched an experimental program, the Tuskegee Airmen Project. It wasn't created out of confidence, it was created out of skepticism. Many white officers believed that black pilots would never have the intelligence, discipline, or skill to fly in combat. But those young men from Tuskegee were ready to prove them wrong. Among them was a man who would become a legend, Benjamin O. Davis Jr. The son of the first black general in the US Army, Davis had endured years of silence and discrimination at West Point, where classmates refused to even speak to him. Yet, he graduated with honor, and now he would lead a squadron that the world was waiting to see fail. Alongside him stood brave names like Charles McGee, Daniel Chappie James Jr., Roscoe Brown, Lee Archer, and Clarence Lester, men who believed that if they could conquer the sky, they could conquer prejudice itself. At the Tuskegee airfield, days blurred into nights. The roar of airplane engines became the rhythm of hope. Training was brutal navigation drills, combat maneuvers, gunnery practice. Every mistake meant another sneer from those who said, "See, they can't do it." But in 1943, and after endless hours of flight training and sheer determination, the 99th Fighter Squadron took off for war. When those planes lifted from the Alabama runway, it wasn't just a flight, it was defiance. They knew one failure could destroy everything they'd worked for. But they didn't fail. They soared. By 1944, the Tuskegee pilots had become part of the 332nd Fighter Group, and their plane's sleek P-51 Mustangs carried a signature mark, bright red tails. That's how they earned their legendary name, the Red Tails. They were sent to escort bomber formations across enemy-controlled Europe, protecting American bombers from deadly German fighters. While other units sometimes chased glory, the Red Tails stayed focused on their mission: protect the bombers, bring them home. Their discipline became unmatched. Bomber crews would say over the radio, "If the Red Tails are with us, we'll make it home." In one mission, Lieutenant Lee Archer shot down 5 enemy planes in a single day, earning the title of Ace. The Red Tails were rewriting the rulebook not just of war, but of respect. But while they fought with honor in the skies, another battle waited for them when they landed racism. Even as decorated pilots, they were refused service in restaurants, denied entry to officers' clubs, and faced open hatred from the very country they fought for. In 1945, dozens of black officers were arrested in what became known as the Freeman Field Mutiny, simply because they tried to enter a whites-only officers' club. That was the day they realized their fight wasn't just against Nazi Germany, it was against injustice at home. Still, they didn't give up. They kept flying, kept serving, and kept proving their worth because they weren't only fighting for themselves, they were fighting for generations yet to come. When World War II ended in 1945, many of the Tuskegee Airmen returned home as heroes of the sky, but America wasn't ready to treat them as equals. That started to change in 1948, when President Harry S. Truman signed Executive Order 9981, officially desegregating the U.S. Armed Forces. That single piece of paper carried the weight of every flight, every mission, every insult, and every sacrifice the Tuskegee Airmen had endured. They didn't just win battles overseas, they helped America win a battle within itself. Their courage had forced the country to look in the mirror and change. Today, every time a pilot sees a red-tailed aircraft, they see more than just paint, they see a legacy. The spirit of the Tuskegee Airmen lives in every air cadet, every cockpit, and every child who dares to dream beyond limits. In 2007, they were finally honored with the Congressional Gold Medal, a tribute long overdue. Some of them lived to see it, others did not, but their names are now written among the stars. They taught the world that greatness isn't born from privilege, it's forged through perseverance. The story of the Tuskegee Airmen reminds us that sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought in the skies, they're fought in the hearts of men. These red-tailed pilots prove that when your dreams are stronger than the walls around you, no prejudice, no doubt, no system can hold you back. For them, the sky wasn't the limit, it was freedom. They didn't just change history, they changed what was possible. If this true story inspired you, then take a second to subscribe to this channel. Your one click helps us bring you more real, powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and humanity that shaped our world. Because heroes like the Tuskegee Airmen remind us the sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning.